Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Lajanusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again today on Next on the Tee. I am your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I have three great guests that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. First up is gonna be Chad Parker. We're gonna get a return visit from Chad. About a year ago, Chad joined us here on the show. He is the general manager and chief operating officer at East Lake Golf Club here in Atlanta. He presides over the Tour Championship and one of the most historic golf courses here in Atlanta because East Lake is the home of Bobby Jones. Chad is also doing some great work with a number of charities, which we'll talk about. Plus, he always teams up every year with Stuart Sink at the for a team called Q School at the Atlanta Barbecue Festival, and that's coming up on August the 14th. We'll talk about that. Plus, they've got a new event coming up later this year in November, going to be held out at East Lake. So we'll talk about all that and more when Chad joins me here in just a few moments. Following Chad, we'll get our monthly visit from Sports One Marketing CEO David Meltzer. Dave is doing some great work as well with his new site, MeltzerMission.com. He is so very inspirational to talk to all the time, and his site is a great inspiration to wake up to every day. Plus, he recently wrote an article, 6 Principles to Coach By, which was inspired by one of our good friends, Dr. Jen Welter, who, if you're paying attention to the news around the NFL, became the first female coach in NFL history. So congratulations to our friend, Dr. Jen. We'll talk about Dave's article and those 6 principles, plus reflect back on the Open Championship and forward to the PGA when Dave joins me about 20 minutes from now. And following Dave is going to be 2003 PGA Champion Shaun Micheel. He's back with me again to answer more of your questions, plus to look ahead to this year's PGA Championship. So Shaun will be around about 35 minutes from now. So we got another great show in store for you, and I'm so glad that you're here to take the journey with me. Next on the Tee is brought to you by Seymour Putters. Let's get things rolling by hearing from a word about them from Joe Lajanusa.
Golfers, has this happened to you? Great drive, perfect second shot on the green, only to 3 or even 4 putt, shaking your head all the way back to the cart. I have good news. Help is on the way with the Seymour Putter. The Seymour Putter Company, patented RST technology, sets up the putter perfectly every time, using a visible gun sight on the top line. Genius! It's like locking radar onto the target, in this case, the golf hole, putting the golfer in perfect position to make a reliable and consistent stroke. The 1999 U.S. Open and 2007 Masters champions both use, you guessed it, the Seymour Putter. So if you're ready to make more putts and take strokes off your game, log on to Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com and put a Seymour putter in your bag today.
And guess what? So did this year's Open Championship winner, used a Seymour putter. So like Joe said, check out the Rifle Scope technology that helped win 3 majors and 36 tour events and counting. And it's going to help you make more putts too. I know it's helping me. Check them out online at Seymour.com and get one in your bag. You're going to be so very glad that you did. I also want to introduce a new sponsor, the French Lick Resort up in Indiana. Folks, you want to talk about a spectacular place to go play golf and to bring your family as well. Check out FrenchLick.com. It's so spectacular. I had the privilege of taking my family there last month, and we're already looking forward to next year. I promise you that. The resort is historic, and it's beautiful. And the golf, the Pete Dye course there hosted this year's Senior PGA Championship and is always kept in championship condition. The Donald Ross course that they have there is the site of Walter Hagen's PGA Championship victory back in 1924. They've also got the Valley Links course that dates back to 1907. They got another great event coming up here at the end of this month, the Legends Championship with many of the greatest LPGA players of all time. And in fact, let's hear a word about that great event.
Inkster, Rinker, Bradley, Stevens, Layla.
Our rich golf history comes alive once again as the legends of the LPGA return to French Lick Resort August 28th through 30th. The Legends Championship, presented by Old National Bank, benefiting Riley Hospital for Children. See the greats of ladies golf take on the gorgeous Pete Dye course in a fun and relaxed setting. Learn more about the Legends Championship presented by Old National Bank, August 28th through the 30th at FrenchLick.com.
So, folks, the French Lick Resort needs to be on your places to go check out and stay and play. And, by the way, a special happy birthday wish to their director of golf and our good friend here on the show, Dave Harner. Dave, we hope you get everything you're wishing for, my friend. Again, check it out, FrenchLick.com. We also want to kick off today's show like we do every single week here on Next on the Tee, and that's by saluting the brave men and women serving in our military. We want to thank all of you for your daily sacrifices and for what you do every day to keep the rest of us safe. We also want to thank our veterans for all you've done for us over the years. We truly appreciate everything our military personnel do to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. It's through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and all the wonderful folks over at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It's an honor for us to have our show be a part of your network. You can find us by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. And I also want to remind our veterans, please check out globalvoiceforveterans.org. It's a great site with news and articles and a wealth of information designed specifically for our veterans that I'm sure you're going to find both interesting and beneficial. Again, check it out online, globalvoiceforveterans.org. And I also want to thank everyone listening in across the internet on great sites like iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, and Blog Talk Radio as well. Plus, and if someone's dragging you to the mall or to the grocery store, or you're simply tired of the same old on your commute, download the Player.fm or the Stitcher app on your smartphone so you can take us with you everywhere you go. Let us give you something fun to focus on while you're out and about. All right, now joining me on the Seymour Putters guest line is Chad Parker. Let me give you some background on Chad. He is the general manager and chief operating officer at East Lake Golf Club here in Atlanta. East Lake, as you know, is the site of the PGA Tour Championship over the last 5 seasons. He's originally from Florence, Alabama, graduated from Mississippi State with his degree in marketing and professional golf management back in 1995. Started his golf career in 96 as an assistant golf pro at North Rivers Yacht Club over in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. In 97, he became the head golf professional over at East Lake. He is also PGA certified in general management, which places him in the top 3% of the members of the PGA of America. The Atlanta Business Chronicle a few years ago named him one of the top 40 under 40, and he is also the chairman of the Healing Place Charity Championship, which is an annual event played at Turtle Point Yacht and Country Club over in Killeen, Alabama. The event is hosted by Stuart Sink. The Healing Place, folks, is a nonprofit facility located in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, that provides ongoing education and support programs for grieving children, adolescents, and their families. The Healing Place's mission is to make a difference in the lives of children and family who have experienced the death of a loved one, and it offers services to the community free of charge. So a wonderful place and a great charity event. Please check it out online. Chad, thank you so much for coming back and being a part of Next on the Tee today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to discussing.
Chad, so let's start right there about the Healing Place. Talk about how you got hooked up with Stuart Sink, first of all, and then about how you guys put together that event every year.
Stuart and I grew up together. We're both from Florence, that area where the Healing Place is located. And so we grew up, learned golf from the same professional, Chris Burns at Florence Country Club, went through his junior program, and we played golf together and still play golf together as much as we can. So when Stuart had been on tour for a few years, he decided he wanted to do something for the community that we both grew up in terms of a fundraising golf tournament, and we selected the Healing Place as our charity. I have family ties to the Healing Place, so we started, almost 15 years ago now. I guess next year will be our 14th year, and we've had a lot of great professionals come through Florence, Alabama over the years, and we raised a lot of money for the Healing Place. So it's just been a win-win for all involved.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Good for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad, you and Stuart also team up, like I said in the intro, and to make some mean barbecue at the Atlanta Barbecue Festival, which is coming up here August 14th and 15th. I see your team, Q School, is listed among the pro teams that are going to be competing again this year. What can folks look forward to, and how can they find you guys, by the way, at this year's event?
Well, we just got a new tent, and so it's the Q School is the name of our team, and so you can look for that. We hope that Q School is signed up. I'm not sure if Stuart is going to be able to compete. His son is moving into college that during that same time frame, so we're trying to work that out in terms of his availability, but it's so close to where we are, we could not enter it. It's a great event, a lot of fun. So some of the other guys that we cook with will be there, and we hope Stuart will be too.
And you guys have won the event in the past, right?
We've won one of the categories. We won first place in ribs the last time we cooked there in 2013, and finished in the top 10 in terms of the total score of the professional teams, which was always a thrill. But we'd certainly love to win the overall event, but that would take a lot of good cooking to do that.
And homemade pickles this year? Your homemade pickles going to be on display?
We'll probably have some around. We're not allowed to technically sell any food-related products there, but we always have some on hand to sample and to nibble on while we're eating. And the only way to get the homemade pickles officially is you have to play in Stuart's charity event that he does up at the River Club called the Sink It Challenge, and every year I'll make a jar for each participant. So I'm starting that process now because I got to make about 150 quarts to fill that demand. So anyway, that's the only official place that they're available at this point.
All right. And Chad, you guys over at Eastlake, you've got a new event coming up this year, right? Going to be out there in November. Talk about what we can look forward to.
We do. It's called the Eastlake Cup. It's going to be televised on the Golf Channel November 2nd and 3rd. It will feature the top finishers from the semifinals from the NCAA tournament last year, both men and ladies, and it'll be a match play event open to the public. And so the teams will be announced in the next couple of weeks via the Golf Channel and their media outlets. So we're preparing to host that and very excited about the opportunity to continue the great amateur golf tradition that's associated with Bobby Jones and others who were members of the club. So it'll be a fun event for those that live in Atlanta to come see some really great golf.
Yeah, so for those of us who are here in Atlanta and we want to find out more information about it and who's going to be competing there and tickets and all that sort of thing, where can we go to find out?
There'll be a website announced at that same time. The Golf Channel is, a lot of those details, it's the first year for us, a lot of those details are still being worked out in terms of the sponsors, et cetera. So there'll be more information on parking and all those types of issues, both on our website, and there'll be an event website coming later. But you could always find the information on ours once everything is announced. It probably will be after the Tour Championships. That'll be our focus through September, and then as we go into October to promote the Eastlake Cup is when we'll highlight some of those issues.
All right, great. Chad, as I was doing some of the research and looking back over the history of Eastlake and the competitions there, as I saw, back in 2007, now new reigning Open champion Zach Johnson went out and set the course record at Eastlake. Shot 60. Did you get a chance to talk to Zach after that round?
I did. He apologized.
Is that right?
He did. Zach is a stand-up of a guy as you'll ever meet anywhere. And the players that were there that year in 2007 realized that we were up against, just a terrible situation from a weather standpoint. The golf course was completely defenseless. The greens were softer than they've ever been in any year that we've hosted the Tour Championship. And the players knew that. And I saw Zach when he finished, and Zach's played in our tournament in Florence a few times, and I've helped him with his event up in Cedar Rapids before he got that started about 5 years ago. So we know each other pretty well, and he came in. He goes, I don't want any official recognition for this. He said the golf course is defenseless. I feel bad. I'm happy I played well, but he said this is not indicative of the quality golf course that you guys have here. So, but yeah, we talked about it, and he handled it with all the humility and grace you would expect him to.
Yeah, and as I recall, the 07 event, we had torrential rains here in Atlanta, and at some point, correct me if I'm wrong on the years, but I think it was in 07. The golf course itself, for a time, was completely underwater. Is that correct?
I think that's right. It was really hot. We had an unbelievably hot August that year. One of the hottest on record in terms of number of days and average temp and lack of rainfall through the month of August. And so we basically had the greens on life support, and in fact, they canceled the Pro-Am that year. They canceled one of the practice rounds. They wouldn't let players hit more than one ball under the green. Tried to limit traffic on the green as much as we could. It was a dire situation in 2007 from a turf quality standpoint, and just because it was just an unbelievably hot August, and sometimes that happens. And thankfully, we switched the grass to a warm season grass, a mini verde grass, the next year for 2008. And since that year, the winning score has been in the range of 8 to 11 under every year. Right in that range is kind of where we want to be. And the golf course had some teeth when the greens are firm.
And sort of speaking of weather, Chad, in the weeks leading up to the Tour Championship, is weather the only thing, or are there other things that are challenges that sort of keep you awake at night, hoping everything goes right?
Weather is the only thing, really. Most everything else, this will be our 15th time to host the event, and so we've got a pretty good understanding of what to expect. The only thing you can't plan for is weather, and weather has a compounding effect on everything that happens with the tournament, from traffic, parking, evacuation, volunteers, staff parking. It's if you have bad weather, it takes over your thinking, and you have to kind of rethink every facet of the event. And so outside of that, if you've planned accordingly, and outside of some catastrophic event that no one wants to think about, the weather is the only thing that I would say that would keep me up in terms of the planning.
Last year's event, Jordan Spieth played in the Tour Championship, shot 80 in the third round and finished next to last. I'm guessing you're not expecting a repeat of that performance from him this year.
Not expecting a repeat of, no. They're very excited that he's number one on the FedEx list, and, of course, and the hottest player in golf right now, so I'm looking forward to having him come back. But, no, to answer your question, I would be shocked if he shot 80.
I'm curious, how much in advance of the tournament are guys coming out to East Lake to get a practice round in, and then I'm guessing I'm with you and your club's superintendent Ralph Keppel to pick your brains a little bit. But how soon are you expecting guys to start showing up to get a couple of rounds in to refamiliarize themselves with the golf course?
We've never had a player come before the week of.
Really?
Ever. Not they may have come out earlier in the year to do something else, but they don't come in early. They play so much golf. Augusta and maybe some of the major courses are the only situation that I've seen where a player may go in before the week of. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the golf course or any golf course that you play is everything that's done is designed for the golf course to peak at a certain time, especially as it relates to the firmness and speed of the greens, which is the number one factor that those guys are worried about. They're not worried about, their caddy's going to have carry distances where hazards are, where the no-hit areas are. They're going to have all that information done before the player gets there. And so the speed of the greens and the firmness of the greens is the one thing that they really, want to know. If it's a golf course, like that no one's ever played before, like Chambers Bay this year for the U.S. Open, then, yeah, you may want to go out there and decide what clubs you hit off tees, what your lines are, things like that. But a golf course like ours that is pretty traditional and everything is laid out in front of you, there's really no need for guys at that level to play a bunch of practice rounds to get comfortable, especially if the greens are going to be different than what they're going to play on in tournament week.
Mm-hmm. Chad, Billy Herschel became the 5th consecutive FedEx Cup champion by winning the Tour Championship last year. And people talk about how the Players Championship, should perhaps be a 5th major. But if they're going to talk about an event becoming a 5th major, shouldn't it be the Tour Championship?
Well, I don't know that there'll ever be a 5th major. Majors are majors for a reason, and you can't. It's hard to manufacture things like that. And so, I don't really ever think about or get caught up in the 5th major debate. You look at what we have in terms of a playoff situation and how exciting it is for the fans and the players to be part of that. And so it's a different kind of competition, a little bit more pressure because you have to play well to keep going, just like in any other, a playoff situation, whether it's football or anything else. And so the pressure's different, and the money is huge. So it has a different feel, and I don't know that, singling out the last event of the playoffs could be, would make it a 5th quote-unquote major. It's a little different. I think the majors hold a special place in the players' hearts and in the fans' hearts. That's really hard to, manufacture that sentiment from fans, and I think also from the players themselves. And so we try to celebrate the playoffs themselves, the other events that are involved, the PGA Tour's commitment to making the FedEx Cup work, as opposed to comparing our event to the Players or the World Golf Championships or any other big events.
Does the PGA need to take a look at how the FedEx point system is put together? Because if you look at the guys that have won the FedEx Cup Championship over the last 5 years, Billy Herschel, like I say, last year, Henrik Stenson the year before that, Brandt Steneker, Billy Haas, Jim Furyk. I think if you look at, those guys, I'm not sure that we would have said that was sort of the best player in any given season. Does the FedEx points would we need to revamp that? Do they need to take another look at that?
Well, I think you need to look at it 2 different ways. I would say the media and the folks that promote golf would like to think that the Jordan Spieths are always going to win. I think Tiger, in his performance in his kind of golden years, he kind of spoiled what is realistic about, in terms of golfers. And so the playoffs are designed to reward the player that's playing the best through the playoffs. It's the same thing that happens in baseball. You may have a team that plays red hot the whole year and then stubs their toe in the playoff and gets eliminated. That's why you have the playoffs. And so to answer your question, I don't think they need to change it. Now, would it be better if we could always guarantee that we would have all the A-list, players, all the most well-known players to be in the top 30, and by Sunday, the top 4 competing in the last 2 groups? That would be fantastic for, television ratings, media, and everybody else, and the fans. Right. But the playoffs were created, in the playoffs, you can pick any sport and name teams that were the best throughout the year that had one bad game in the playoffs and they didn't make it, and that's where the pressure comes in. And that's why I think our event's different than kind of in the looking at the other majors. Although if you ask any of the top players or basically any player that can compete in a major, are they trying to have their game peak for the majors? Absolutely they are. But in the playoffs, you got to play well for 4 weeks. So it's harder to kind of time the peak, to time your rest, what kind of course you're playing on. So it's a different dynamic.
And to that point, when you talk about guys trying to get their performance and their game peaking 4 times a year at the majors, after we get through the PGA Championship, do you think the players sort of let down a little bit? The majors are now over, and sort of the season is sort of winding down. Is it harder for them to get themselves back up for that run to get to the Tour Championship?
It may be a challenge, but I think if you ask any player on the PGA Tour what their season goal would be, on that sheet would be to make it to East Lake, because that means they're one of the top 30 players for the year, which means they've had to do a lot of good things throughout the year to be there, including playing well in the playoffs. And so I would say, that is a goal for them. And so, you have to time when you play, when you peak, how you take care of yourself. You have to kind of plan. You have to make plans for that because the money and the prestige of winning the FedEx Cup is so big. It's a game changer for people that win the FedEx Cup. Like a Jim Furyk or a Billy Horschel. Guys like that maybe aren't in the Spieth, Bubba Watson, Tiger, Phil category. But no one can argue that Billy Horschel played unbelievably through the playoffs last year. If you remember, he hit that unfortunate shot on 18 the week before. He would have won. I think he won one other event, but he could have won 3 playoff events, which would have been unbelievable.
Right.
He was playing better than everybody else, so he deserves it. So. That's why I think again we look at what we have here differently than what a major is.
Talking to Chad Parker, General Manager and Operating Officer at East Lake Golf Club here in Atlanta. Chad, just a couple more before we let you go. We've done a lot of football references, and I mentioned Ralph Keppel a little while ago, your golf course superintendent. He's an Ohio State alum, and even though you went to Mississippi State, I know you're a big Alabama football fan. Got to believe
right.
There was a wager going on during the college football playoffs last season.
Did you say you were going to be talking to Ralph later?
Yep.
There was no wager. I offered to participate in the wager, and we decided against that. So I made that okay for that. I don't think Ralph and most Ohio State fans were as confident as they maybe are now about the chances they had. To make it to the playoffs and of course to win it all like they did. So, no wager.
Huh? Surprise! I figured that was going to be a hotly contested event between the two of you. But yeah, perhaps you're right. I guess going in there with their third string quarterback, maybe they weren't as confident as they should have been in victory. But so, what are your expectations for Alabama this year?
Well, I think there's a lot of questions at quarterback and also at running back. So, it'll come down to the quarterback who gets it and how comfortable he is in the system. And if you don't have a good quarterback, you cannot compete in any league, and then certainly not in the SEC. So, I think that's the biggest question mark, and no one knows what that'll be yet.
Well, Chad, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to come back on the show. You're always a lot of fun to talk to. I hope you'll come back soon. We'd like to catch up with you as the Tour Championship gets a little bit closer, plus get an update on the event, the East Lake Cup that's coming up in November. But thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thanks for having me on. Sure, absolutely.
All right, take care, Chad. All the best to you and your family.
All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Again, that was Chad Parker, General Manager, Chief Operating Officer at East Lake Golf Club here in Atlanta. Great stuff. And, if you haven't been out to East Lake to check out the Tour Championship, you got to put it on your calendar to do so. Beautiful golf course. So much history there, dating back to Bobby Jones. But look forward to having Chad join us again here hopefully real soon. All right, now back with me on the Seymour Putters guest line is Sports One Marketing CEO and best-selling author David Meltzer. Dave's book, Connected to Goodness, Manifest Everything You Desire in Business and in Life, continues to fly off of shelves at bookstores and Amazon.com as well. He is positively impacting people's lives all over the world through his company, Sports One Marketing, and his partnership with NFL Hall of Famer Warren Moon. His site, MeltzerMission.com, has a wonderful positive message every day, so I really encourage our listeners to check it out and sign up for their daily inspirational message. It's going to help get you in the right frame of mind to start your day. Dave's one of the most inspirational guys you'll ever talk to, you ever hear speaks, and so I'm very glad he is next on the tee with me again this morning. Good morning, Dave. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm just on my way to Seattle from New York. It's been a crazy week after we broke the story on Russell Wilson over on your Thursday night tailgate show, so it's been an exciting week for us. And glad to hear the Ohio State Buckeye stories. As you know, I actually did have faith and I threw all my money down on Ohio State, and it's carried me through this year. My wife is very grateful.
I bet she is. Dave, I wanted to start by talking about an article you recently wrote titled 6 Principles to Coach By, and it starts out by recognizing our good friend, Dr. Jen Welter, who became the first female to coach in the NFL. Talk about her as an inspiration, first of all, and then talk about the 6 principles that to coach by.
You know, she's an amazing person. If you look at, you know, what she's done and the timing that she's done, been involved in football for almost 2 decades, when it was not acceptable for women to even be a fan of football way back when. And here she is as a player and a student and a doctor. She's an amazing person, and you got to give the Cardinals head coach some credit as he put it out there. If he could find someone qualified. But it's the exact principles that I talk about. Is here's a woman who consciously thought about what she wanted, and it became a possibility, even when everyone else thought it was an impossibility. And she took it through all of her values, her foundation, as I call them, the foundation principle. Then she had her clarity, balance, and focus, and stayed confident with her guideposts. And then she kept a positive perspective with gratitude, as well as empathy, which is forgiveness, and asked for a lot of help, and stayed inspired, which turned her possibility into a probability. But what makes her so interesting to me is the action principle side. Is there's so many people that talk the talk, but she walks the walk. And to walk the walk, you need to utilize these action principles, which is discipline, strategy, and understanding. And over the last 2 decades, she's been an overachiever. Nonetheless, even though she's vertically challenged like me, she is an unbelievable athlete. She's been an unbelievable coach, and she should be just overwhelmed. You know, if to me, if there was a Courage Award for the ESPYs, I know I wrote an article on that, and I think that, you know, our friend Miss Jenner, she deserves a lot of accolades for having courage. But I think, you know, that story has been overplayed, and with the reality shows and the 2020s and the Vanity Fairs and all of that. I think, you know, the people that we should really admire are someone like Dr. Welter, who has overcome so many challenges and does not have the publicity, does not have all of the connections and awareness and profile that Miss Jenner may have. And so I'm just a huge fan of hers, and anything we can do at Sports One Marketing, Warren and I, for her, we would gladly do, because I think she's going to be a huge success. And in the next 20 years, so many women and young girls are going to have inspiration because she had the belief in herself when no one else did. So thanks for bringing that story up, because it's been amazing. Yeah,
absolutely it has. And Dave, the last time we spoke on this show, you were looking forward to, as you talk about the ESPYs, you were looking forward to being at the ESPY Awards. It's always an event that's, you know, special to me because it supports the V Foundation, which is a charity that's near and dear to my heart. But talk about what it was like being a part and witnessing this year's event.
You know, it's just amazing because of, like I said, the aggregate and accumulation of the best athletes in the world with the best entertainers in the world on the biggest stage in the world at ESPN. And they do such a fabulous job of inspiring people, but most importantly, raising money for the V Foundation, which is near and dear to our heart as well. And everyone, as you know, the V Foundation states, is touched by cancer, and it's something that we need to eradicate. You know, Warren sits on the board, the national board of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, trying to eradicate children's cancer and leukemia, and, you know, have switched and completely shifted the paradigm of leukemia, where when it started, 96% of the people died, and now less than 4% do. So, you know, our money, your money, everyone's money helps so much, and these huge stage, entertaining, highly successful events just raise more awareness and money so that someday no child and hopefully no adult will die of cancer.
There you go. That's great stuff. Dave, let's talk a little sports and a little golf. When I think about professional athletes, Dave, even in a team sport, but really the athlete becomes their own brand, if you will, and that may not be any more true than in golf, since it's an individual game and not a team game. Players, go out and they may be repping for whoever it is, whether it's Callaway or Nike or TaylorMade. They do that on the course, but it's really their own brand that's at risk if issues arise. Talk about some of the hidden pressures that golfers face and athletes in general face if they make a mistake, not only just in their personal lives, but if they make a mistake in pressing send when maybe they shouldn't have?
Yeah, that's a great point. The two issues that we teach, and even way back with Lee, is two of the pillars that I live by. I have 4 pillars: gratitude and empathy. Everyone knows, and that's for your life. But professionally, accountability and effective communication. And that's the issue at hand when we make mistakes. Now, every single person has made mistakes and will continue to make mistakes. The key is that we need to take accountability and liberate ourselves, get out in front of it, illuminate the mistake that we make, and then effectively communicate what we've done. So as you can see from even Ariana Grande, when she made her mistake with the donuts, and then even worse, she went so far below the line with her excuses and apologies and blame, shame, and justification. The key is very simple. It's very, very simple to be accountable and then to effectively communicate your accountability. And you actually can raise your profile and respect by doing that, because the truth vibrates the fastest. And sooner or later, as Tom Brady has found out and others, the truth will always come out. And if you are not on the side of accountability and you are not effectively communicating, you will diminish the trust that you have with your fans, your teams, your family, your friends. So accountability and effective communication is the key to actually raising your profile when you make a mistake, by being accountable and communicating it effectively.
And to that end, Dave, if athletes, let's go, we'll step over to on the football side, but if athletes like Tom Brady, let's say, because it's such a big deal, right? We've heard so much about Deflategate forever. But if athletes would just step up like a Tom Brady and say, you know what? It wasn't, I didn't really realize it was that big a deal. I like the football a little softer. I asked the guys to take, a pound of air out of it. That's how I like to throw the football. I didn't realize it was a big deal to anybody else. I didn't think it was that big of an infraction. I did it. To your point about accountability, I did it. I'm sorry. This thing all goes away, right? I mean, it's a minor infraction. Maybe he gets fined a little bit of money. Maybe they give him a game. I think that's even a stretch. But this whole thing goes away, and athletes that do it with performance-enhancing drugs. If you go, you know what, you got me. I'm sorry, I did it. Blah blah blah. It's here and gone. Is it not?
Absolutely. You take all the energy out of it, and we all know how we feel when we don't tell the truth. There's an energy that comes over us, and some of us hold in these these lies for years, and some for days and some for minutes. But the truth vibrates the fastest. And I encourage and instill and empower all those that Warren and I work with that, look, we all make mistakes. That's why empathy is so important, because I not only forgive you, but I forgive myself for making the mistakes. But if we can come out and illuminate the truth that we're human and that this is what happened, and that I'm willing to accept the punishment that you deem fit, and it's usually far less. And the most important thing is you give no energy to the media. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about except for how accountable and how mature and how much character and integrity you have that you've made a mistake and own up to it. And that story doesn't last very long. That story doesn't last very long because the media doesn't like those stories. They like lying and cheating and stealing and those things because they keep prying and prying because they know the truth is vibrating, so they got to get to the truth. And eventually the truth will come out, so you might as well be a hero for telling the truth instead of a zero for lying.
There you go. I couldn't agree with that statement more. Dave, I know you got to run. You got a busy schedule, and you're on your way up to Seattle. Let our folks know where can they find you, where can they hear you speak, and also sign up for your websites and find your book.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm going to be speaking at the Secret Knock next week in San Diego at the Dana Hotel. One of my favorite things with Bob Proctor and a variety of just huge speakers and a great audience. Obviously we have sports1marketing.com connectedtogoodness.com and the meltzermission.com. I also am doing mission meetings that people can listen into, where we give our critical business issues and personal issues for personal professional growth. It's just taking off. It's great for golfing, great for fans, great for husbands and wives. These are unbelievable one-hour meetings that you can just call and listen to. So just contact us at themeltzermission.com or at sports1marketing.com. The book's doing great. I just finishing my 5th book with Blaine Bartlett called Compassionate Capitalism, and went to New York and working a deal. We're going to be releasing a few more books here in 2016. So things are going great with the support of people like you, Chris. So thank you so much, and I look forward to being on the show and talking to you on Thursday as well at the Thursday night tailgate. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It's always great getting to have you as part of this show every month, and then we get the privilege of talking with you every week on the 12th Man segment on our Thursday night tailgate show. So thank you for being a part of both shows, and we look forward to catching up with you again on this show next month. In the meantime, safe travels, my friend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Take care.
All right, take care, Dave. That's David Meltzer, again, as he pointed out at the end. MeltzerMission.com, great stuff. You get inspirational messages sent right to your email box every morning if you sign up for that. So go check that out. His book is Connected to Goodness, Manifest Everything You Desire in Business and in Life. You can find it on Amazon.com. And he is the CEO of Sports One Marketing, which he's in partnership with Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon. So they're always doing great stuff. So please check them all out online as well. All right, now back with me on the Seymour Putters guest line to answer more of your questions is our good friend and 2003 PGA champion, Shaun Micheel. Hey, Shaun, how have you been, my friend?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. You?
I'm just getting up and going this morning. Got the end of the summer. Got to start packing for a couple of weeks, so a lot going on.
No doubt. Shaun, I want to start by reflecting back on your performance at the Barbasol Championship a couple of weeks ago. You played really well, 5 under par, eagled 16 on Sunday. Talk about your play there.
Yeah, I was happy to get in for sure. It's been kind of a slow year, but I played really well. The first day wasn't so great. Had 16 pars and 2 bogeys. Didn't play a great round of golf there, but I think a lot of that is just a little bit of the anxiety that I think, is there for, just not playing, maybe playing a little bit too conservatively or what have you. But I was really pleased to put a solid round together on Friday and shoot 68 to make the cut and post a couple of decent numbers. I missed out on a lot of scoring opportunities throughout the week, but again, I think a lot of it just goes back to maybe the conservative play, the way that I've played, and not wanting to kind of throw away or make mistakes. There's lots of things I'm playing for. There's other opportunities throughout the year. FedEx Cup points, money for my category for next year. So there's a lot of things that kind of are going through my mind, but it was important for me to play 4 days, and I felt like a lot of the stuff that I did was pretty good. Just like I said, just the scoring could have been a little bit better, but I was pleased with getting the ball around the course.
So what's next for you? What's up on your schedule coming up?
Well, I'm leaving tomorrow. I got into the Barracuda Championship, and which is in Reno. For anybody that the event's been around for a while, but for anybody that knows, it's a Stableford scoring system, so it's exactly like we used to do and played the old Castle Pines tournament in Denver, the International, where par is 0, birdies are 1, double eagles, or I think eagles are 3, double eagles are 8, bogeys are -1. So you'll hear all of that. So it's an interesting scoring system. It's fun. It kind of allows for some aggressive play. There's a lot of birdies to be made. It's a good golf course. It's a difficult golf course in the sense that it's at, probably, 6,000 or 7,000 feet, maybe 5,000 feet in elevation. So the ball travels. So it does get a little bit of, wind around there. So mountain golf is pretty difficult in the conditions where you're having to guess the distance and try to figure out the wind, which I think makes makes it even better to have an event like this because there have been certain holes where I've played and I've either airmailed the green because I just misjudged the wind or whatever, and I try to make a par, try to make a bogey, but if I make a double, I just pick the ball up and say, "Hey guys, I'll see you in the next tee." Kind of. So it's fun, and I'm really excited to be playing. So I'll follow that up with the PGA Championship at Whistling Straits next week or the week after.
Right.
So I've been working hard, and like I said, it's been great really to get in a few events to play some competition. It's hard to replicate that just around playing here in Memphis. So I'm excited about playing.
Yeah, and to that end, we'll get into some of the questions that our listeners have for you, but that is one of the questions is talk about, why is it important to get in, into tournaments from a play perspective? The question, is exactly talk about why it is different playing the game in a tournament under competition versus going out and practicing around on your own.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to try to play, at least at my level, to try to play in, under some sort of, pressure situations, whether it's in your own mind or whether it's against friends around here that play at a high level. I don't know, but it's when you're playing tournament golf, you don't get a second opportunity to make a putt or hit a great tee ball, whatever the case may be. When you're just out practicing, maybe you're working on your technique or maybe you're just warming up. When you go out and play, like I played with my dad's group the other day and shot 65, it was so easy. One, I think I'm comfortable with the golf course. I'm comfortable with my playing partners, and also there's no consequences for not playing a great round. And so when you get in a tournament golf, there's so many things that you're playing for. It's almost like two tournaments in one. You're trying to make the cut. And I know, look, you don't want to start out Thursday thinking, "Oh, I just want to make the cut." I mean, that's not really what you start. Maybe someone in my situation where I don't have a guarantee next week. So it is important for me to make the cut. And so that does come into my mind. It didn't always come into my mind. But it does now, I think, a little bit more, which is probably why it's just difficult to play. But it's hard to replicate tournament conditions just at home. Because I go out there and I only get one opportunity to play a hole and hit a shot and kind of plod my way around the golf course. Whereas I'm just playing around town. If I hit one off the tee on the first hole bad, I just hit another one. It's hard you just can't replicate the pressure situations at home. But you got to prepare. You got to prepare like you're playing in the tournament, and it's just hard to do that.
Right. Our next question is along the lines you mentioned a moment ago. How are you preparing for Whistling Straits, which is a link-style layout?
Well, I've done a lot of just kind of mental preparation, I think, over the last, 3 or 4 months. I mean, I've been thinking about the tournament for a while, but just in the last couple of months, I've really started thinking about the holes. We've been pretty lucky, I think, of the last 2 times. 2004 was where I defended and VJ won, and then of course we went back into 2010, and everybody remembers the situation that happened with Dustin. So I know the course well. It's not your traditional links. There is most of the golf course is played through the air. You can play along the ground, I think, just with some of the areas around the greens and that. But I've just kind of mentally prepared myself, just the layout of the course. I've looked at my yardage book from the last time, just kind of try to remember all the holes and just the distances. You just don't know what type of weather you're going to get. It's a pretty big body of water to the east of the golf course there. And again, we've been very fortunate with not having a tremendous amount of wind. And maybe that's just seasonal. I don't know. But, we've had fog and stuff like that have created some delays. But for the most part, we've escaped any type of difficult conditions. And I think, if it got really tough, that golf course could become unplayable. I mean, you think about how difficult it was at St. Andrews, and when there's no wind, I mean, the par on that golf course is 4 under. It's just not that tough of a golf course if you're not playing. But this golf course is tough without the wind. There's a lot of bunkers. There's a lot of bunkers that are, you think are out of play that, a little bit of wind or whatever, and you can find yourself in some difficult situations. There's some long par threes. There are some par fives, I think, that you can reach. So for my preparation, it's just mostly been just mental, just kind of going through the golf course and trying to remember great shots that I've hit and that. I mean, I've been doing this so long now. I don't always feel like I have to, show up at a tournament, 4 or 5 days early to kind of really prepare, because as the guys saw at St. Andrews this year, they had really great conditions for the practice rounds, and then all of a sudden the second day, it was just a totally different golf course. So most of the stuff that I do has just been mental, and I think that's what most of the guys do.
So when will you show up? And the next question is from a local Wisconsin resident wanting to know, when will you be coming to start practicing and getting your game in shape up there at Whistling Straits?
Yeah, I thought about coming up there this weekend and then playing because I figured I was going to get into Reno, and then just as time had kind of gotten past, I'm not doing that. But I'm going to play next week in Reno and, hopefully play well there, which means getting from Reno to Milwaukee is going to be either a red-eye flight or it's going to be, a kind of a Monday flight. Maybe I can get out late in the afternoon on Monday, but with no pro-am there on Wednesday, it gives me an extra day to kind of really prepare. It's tough, when you get at a major championship. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of people, and so sometimes if you get out there and you start playing on Monday, you play Tuesday and you play Wednesday, by the time Thursday shows up, you're kind of out of gas. Everybody's excited about, being on property, and there'll be a lot of people there that have never played the golf course before, so they'll be excited about getting out there. There's going to be, the 20 club pros that qualified to the Club Pro Championship here a couple of weeks ago. Many of them may have never played this golf course too, so they'll be out there working at it. But if I don't get there till Monday afternoon, that's fine. I'll come out Monday night probably and Monday afternoon and hit a few balls and chip, maybe walk the course, and but everybody's a little bit differently. But you can get burned out if you're not careful. So right now my plan is to play well in Reno, be there on Monday. If not, I'll fly out Saturday and play around on Sunday.
So as a previous PGA champion, what's it like for you to go back to this event? I mean, what are the demands on your time like?
Well, the demands on my time aren't there because I've not played very well. There's so many other great stories out there in golf besides mine. I take some just personal reflection when I get there, because that's the first place. That's where I defended my title. That's where I held my champions dinner. So there'll be a lot of memories for me. But as far as my time, unless I play well, I'm not going to get any attention, which is totally fine by me. I mean, there's so many great players in the game right now, and with Jordan and of course Zach Johnson winning the Open Championship. So I won't have a whole lot to do unless I start playing some great golf on Thursday.
So to that end, Shaun, we've talked many times about your being more introverted, but you really like interacting with the fans and those who seem to be in and around in and around you, and as people that have followed you, obviously doing this segment on the show, people sending you questions. But you think about someone who's an introvert and then someone who enjoys the fans as much to you. You would think those things would be in conflict with one another. Is the introverted part just the part that that's you when you leave the golf course, or how do you reconcile those two things?
Well, I think the introverted part just comes at the very beginning, and that being that I've always been this way, and I don't really like it about myself, but I'm not the greatest at going up and introducing myself to new people. And, I've thought about that. It goes back. I mean, I remember times in college and high school and stuff where I just, if you approach me and we start talking, I'll talk your ear off. But I'm just not somebody that just goes up and introduces myself to people. And I don't know why that is. It comes off as standoffish. And I do understand that. I think that's why I say that I don't like that about me. I've just always been that way. You know, and I try to change it. I've gotten a lot better at it. But, you know, I just don't know. I think maybe it's just my mom's personality. I got my mom's personality, I'll say, and I'm pretty quiet and kind of until you get me going. It was kind of ironic, really, a few years ago when I was, this must have been 2011, and I had a friend of mine that was out caddying for me, and I was going to play a practice round. It was me and Kenny Perry and I think J.B. Holmes and maybe Teeter were going to go out and play. And I came down to the range, and I didn't find this out till later, but my caddy told me that Kenny started calling me the mayor because I had to stop and greet every single player along the range. But I thought was kind of, you used the term ironic, and I will too, because but I know all those people. I mean, once I know you and I kind of feel comfortable, I think I can talk. I just have always been somebody that's never been comfortable just going up and starting a conversation. I wouldn't say I'm a great conversationalist. I'm not going to, probably come up and start, just not going to start a conversation. I don't know why. I just have a tough time doing that. But I'm totally fine, in front of people and speaking about things. I'm very open. I think if someone's wanting to ask me a question, I'm certainly there to answer it. And so that's what I try to do. But it's just me, and it's not a great part of being me. But I've dealt with this my entire life, and I think people that know me understand that about me, and even though they don't really get it, that's just me. So I don't really know what else to say about that.
Yeah, no, well, you do a great job here. Let me tell you that, and you do a great job interacting with the fans and answering their questions, and being a part of this show. So, all I can say is, what it's like to be able to have the internal aptitude to walk up to somebody and introduce themselves versus what you do here. You do a great job here. Let me tell you that, my friend.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and again, it's easy for me to really, once I get going, to kind of communicate and kind of share my life with people. I enjoy that. I'm always willing to help, young people in the game. It doesn't matter whether it's golf or life or whatever. I've kind of found that out, I think, just raising two children, trying to share some of my experiences. And of course, mine are still really young, so there's a lot left for them to learn. But I'm always there to try to help anybody out if I can.
Shaun, our next question is more health-related, and the question is, have you ever considered any of the new blood-related treatments or stem cells to help your shoulder or other injuries you're dealing with?
It's funny. That sounds like a question that would come from Troy Madison. He's a player. He and I played together in Barbasol on Thursday, Friday, and he asked me the same thing. We were talking about my heart, and he'd asked me about some of the new stem cell therapies and stuff that were out there. Going back to my shoulder, my shoulder, it still hurts a little bit. I don't know if that would help. I'm 46 years of age now, and I don't really have any limitations with it. The strength isn't there, and some of the surgery that was done on it, like I can't straighten my left shoulder or my left arm because my bicep tendon was moved over. And the screws tighten it up. I can't straighten my left arm. So yeah, no, it means pretty straight. It's not like you. I don't think you would notice it. It wouldn't be something that you would notice. And even if after telling you this, I'm not sure you would notice it. You probably would see if my swing, for example, I have a tough time keeping it straight. But no, I don't know anything about that. But Troy Madison and I were talking about it. He mentioned it to me. And I think that those types of things are starting to catch on. So it's definitely something I need to would be open to looking into for sure. Right? For my heart, or for my shoulder, or for any other aches and pains that I may have.
The next question comes about relationships on the course itself. Actually, what do you think about when? Let's take this other one first. What do you think about when you're walking from tee to fairway and fairway to green? What's going through your mind? Are you completely focused on golf, or do you have other things you're aware of while you're out there?
Yeah, a lot of times I am. A lot of times I kind of get consumed with golf out there, and I don't always take that mental break. I'm getting better with it. I do recall, years ago when I was competing, each and every week, I didn't really talk as much as I do now. I didn't really acknowledge a lot of the fans and my family and stuff that were out there following me, because I just felt like I had to be in this kind of bubble on the course. And again, that's something that I regret, now, is not being a little bit more interactive with people on the golf course. But no, I may be thinking about the shot that I just hit. If I'm just walking by myself, I'm just kind of process the round. I'm kind of thinking ahead of what type of shot I may have. Any number of things, really. It's there could be conversation going on, with one of the fellow playing competitors. Once I hit my second shot into the green, then, might have a little bit of a relaxed moment there walking up. But then once I start walking up to the green, I'm kind of getting a lay of the land and, where my ball is situated and what type of putt I'm going to have. So it goes back into, I go back into golf mode, I guess. It's hard to stay on all the time. There's a lot of time that you have a lot of free time. I'm sure it's been published out there. You play around the golf in a tournament and they say you hit 72 shots. Those 72 shots don't take but maybe 72 seconds to complete. So you think about being out there for 4.5 to 5 hours, and that's not a lot of time for the actual technical part of the game. So there's a lot more that goes into it, which is even more important to stay on. I get really tired at the end of the rounds, and that's usually good for me, because if I'm tired at the end of the round, that means my mind was working, and I was thinking about, kind of how I wanted to play. But guys are different, You look at Tiger, he wouldn't have a conversation with anybody, years ago when he was in the midst of all the great things he was doing. And I played with him numerous times. He might say good shot, and or we might have a little bit of a conversation, but not much. He didn't give you a whole lot. It was just kind of, even though it wasn't a match play situation, it was just him against the world out there. And, other guys are different. You look at guys like Lee Trevino from years past that, they carried so much nervous energy that talking was one way to get it out. And he did that very well. But each of us are different. So I think there's a blend for me. But definitely that's changed more, because I was in this bubble, the years ago, and I kind of regret that a little bit.
So the offshoot question to this is, when you're playing with somebody, do you talk to them, and is it all golf, or do you talk about things, that are away from the course?
No, we talk like Jason Gore. It was me, Jason Gore, and Troy Madison that played the first 2 rounds in Barbasol. And Jason's a guitar player. I play guitar. We were talking about that, and he's like, we don't really know each other that well. I'm 46. I think Jason might be 40, maybe. So a little bit of a different in age there. We were just talking about playing guitar and some of the music that I liked and some of the music he liked, and I was going through some of the songs that I play on my guitar, and all from me. And most people don't know this, or probably nobody really does. Is I'm kind of an '80s headbanging guy, So matter of fact, I'm sitting here next to my guitar right now. I got one of my '62 reissue SG sitting next to me, and I like to play Scorpions and Def Leppard and Kiss and AC/DC and all these crazy things. But when I'm in the car with my kids, I'm forced to listen to like Disney Channel and all this new pop, Taylor Swift, this stuff. So I do like a wide range of music. But Jason, when I told Jason, he goes, "You know what? We need to hang out more," because I think he likes that too. He likes the heavy metal kind of. It's not thrash music, but just songs you would hear from the '80s, Guns N' Roses and things like that. So, so Jason and I are talking about that. I mean, we talk about golf. We'll talk about the tour, and I think as you age, your conversations are different. You get to be my age now. It's like, hey, how you feeling? And whereas a young person doesn't understand that, and I certainly didn't understand that when I was young. We were talking about the new golf courses, the state of the tour, how we were getting from point A to point B, where were we staying, what were the new restaurants, and now all that's old hat to me. I mean, I know I fly into the airport. I don't need to look at a map. I know where my hotel is because I pretty much stay at the same hotel at each of the places. I know how to get to the golf course. I know how to get in and out of the course. I know where the locker rooms are. So I know all of that. So our conversations have changed, and it's really pretty interesting to see how that really has evolved. But hey, we're still out there trying to compete and make money and provide for our families and have a good time. But I do miss really kind of playing more of a full schedule, and so that's why I'm working hard. That's why I'm working hard to get back. And they always say, you don't know what you have till it's gone. So type of thing. And being 46, you just never know how much longer you're going to play in golf. I look at my good friend Lauren Roberts. Lauren Roberts, lives 5 minutes from me, and I think he's 59 or going to be 60 this year, and he's done very well on the Champions Tour. He's working hard. I speak to him, and I know he's frustrated with parts of his game and everything, and he doesn't know how much longer he's going to keep doing it. But he's still out there trying. So I know at some point it'll come to an end for me. I just hope it's a little bit later rather than sooner, because I've had enough time off the last couple of years.
Yeah, and we hope the same for you as well. I'm just intrigued by this music piece because as you mentioned Jason Gore, and you look at some of the guys on tour, Bubba Watson, Ricky Fowler, right? They get together and mess around musically. Peter Jacobson. It seems like there's a lot of musical talent out there on tour. Have you ever tried to get together with a bunch of guys and jam together and maybe put something out?
No, I'm not that great of a player. I mean, I've done a couple things. I did something, some acoustic stuff in a bar in Phoenix a number of years ago. I just walked into this place with some friends, and the guy asked me to come up, and I just strummed along. I did play with my good friend Tommy Thayer from Kiss. We played with a band here at the FedEx St. Jude Classic. He actually played my SG, and I played. You can probably find it on the internet if you Google it. He played my SG, which actually the SG came from him. His custom shop in Nashville, Gibson Custom, sent me this guitar, and it's beautiful. So I think I did 7 songs. The 8th song I didn't know very well, so I just turned the volume up on my guitar. You'd never know it. I mean, I was moving around and acting like I was playing, but the volume was completely off on my guitar. So which is kind of like lip syncing, I guess. But John Daly and I have played a couple things together. He's pretty good. But no, I mean, I enjoy it. I really do. I'll come back here in my guitar room and just sit around and just play and everything. I've never had any lessons, which is I really want to take some lessons. I think that's what I'm going to do this fall to try to get just a little bit better. I understand a little bit about the theory of guitar. Not that you have to know all that really to be a great guitarist, but it's just interesting to see how all the pieces of music kind of fit together and why they fit together. I mean, it's definitely a formula for why things fit, because they sound well together, and so I've enjoyed kind of getting to learn to play a little bit. Normally I just kind of come back here and just put on YouTube and try to learn to play new songs, so I just learned a new Def Leppard song the other day, so it's fun. I enjoy it. That's great. So I've had a lot of free time, so you'd think I'd be ready to go out on tour like Jimmy Page or something like that, as much time as I've had off, but I still work pretty hard on my golf. But Sean, I'll tell you what we did. Let me digress just a little bit. We did. Yeah. There was my cousin from Nebraska. it's a part of my family that I just don't see very often. And we did there's a young man named Nick Kroger from Norfolk, Nebraska, and he was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, and really devastating cancer, and lost part of his left leg. And he's kind of battling. I think it's come back into his lymph nodes again. And anyway, my cousin sent something out there on Facebook, and so I donated four Wanamaker Club tickets to Nick and everything. And so anybody that knows me, I think again this goes back to me being somewhat introverted, you know, I'm not always the best at. I'm willing to help anybody, and things don't always go noticed, which is great by me. But in this particular case, this young man is really struggling. We had my schoolmate of my sons and daughters passed away about 3 weeks ago from the same disease, and she was 9. So I know how devastating it is. But we raffled off, or Roxanne, my cousin, raffled off 2 pairs of tickets for the PGA, and apparently we just the winners were announced I think today. So I'm going to be doing some stuff with them. The 2 winners, one of them's already gotten in touch with me via Facebook, so we got 2 tickets for each of them, and going to go up there and hopefully give them a little bit of an access to the PGA Championship and you know what my life's all about. So that's just kind of a perfect tie-in for what I do with Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is. And speaking of which, remind our listeners how they can get involved with either the local chapter there in Memphis or the chapter that's nearest to them from the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, everybody, I think I don't know how many chapters there are, around the country. But we here in Memphis are part of Make-A-Wish of the Mid-South, which encompasses North Mississippi, West Tennessee, and all of Arkansas. So it's a pretty good size area that we cover. But you can always just type in, Make-A-Wish into Google or whatever your search engine is. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook at Shaun Micheel or Twitter at Shaun Micheel PGA. Make-A-Wish, of the Mid-South is what we are here. That's 901-680-WISH for anybody that wants to be involved. But it's a great organization. Matter of fact, the other night I got a private screening of this movie called Bat Kid. I don't know if you've seen it. It's where one child, his name is Miles from California, whose wish to become Batman transformed the entire city of San Francisco. I've never seen anything like it. I sent out a couple tweets to the San Francisco chapter the other day, and was really floored by just the production and just how the community came together for this one young man. And he was 5 years old. Miles is his name. And so I got a private viewing of that. It was only shown one time in Memphis. I don't know where it's moving on from here, but for anybody that gets a chance to see that, or man, you'll be hooked for life when you see just how much these wishes affect these children and these families. So I'm very proud to be a part of that and to be invited to see this screening. It's beautifully done.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was an internet sensation when they were starting to put those clips together. So yeah, I look forward to seeing the finished product. It was great stuff.
Yeah, it really was. I was just amazed, and of course the story is compelling anyway because any child with an illness like that it captivates a lot of people, and just the smile, just the greatness of the city of San Francisco to be able to pull this off with the mayor and the police chief and all the people that it took a lot to get this thing to come together, and they knocked it out of the park for sure.
Absolutely. And Shaun, you just mentioned it, how folks can follow you, but say it one more time. How can people interact with you both online and find you on social media?
Yeah, well, you can find me at Shaun Micheel on Facebook, and I'm at Shaun Micheel PGA is my Twitter handle, and that's where I am. And hopefully I'll be out playing the next couple of weeks, and people will find the time to come up to me, and as you've already heard, they can start a conversation with me, and I'll talk right back. So, anyway, I'm going to have to work on that. I don't know. I'm going to have to go lay on the couch somewhere, parts unknown. But as I age, you think about these things. You're like, man, why was I like that, or why am I like certain ways? And some of the answers you get aren't great. But I think we all go through little things like that. But anyway, I'm grateful to be out playing, and looking forward to playing the Barracuda Championship next week, and love the city of Reno, and of course Whistling Straits. And then beyond that, I just don't know. Hopefully I'll play well enough to get an opportunity to play Wyndham. Wyndham is Sedgefield's a course that I won my first Nike Tour Championship, or Nike Tour event, which is the Web.com Tour now at Sedgefield. They're in Greensboro, and I'd certainly love to play there too. But I'm going to have to play well at the PGA, I think, to get in there. But so right now my year is focused on the next 2 weeks, and once the 18th of August gets here, I'll have to kind of figure out, what I'm going to do from here on out. Probably go back to the Web.com Tour School in November, just to try to get my PGA Tour card back that way. And so I'm continuing to work hard, and I'll continue to be on with you, hopefully, and answer some more questions, and all that stuff the golf will take care of itself.
Right, and we certainly love the opportunity to spend some time with you and answer questions and interact with the fans this way, and get your answers back out to the folks that are asking them. Hopefully, it won't be for the next couple of weeks, because I hope you won't be available over the next couple of Saturdays,
right.
Because you're in the thick of the fight, both at the Barracuda Championship and at the PGA Championship, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to catch up with you after that. But we're always in your corner, Shaun. We're pulling hard for you, and we're thinking about you and sending as many positive vibes as we possibly can your way so that you play well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chris, very much.
All right, Shaun, we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, best of luck, my friend, and like I say, you're in our thoughts.
Thank you. All right, talk to you later.
All right, take care, Shaun.
Bye-bye.
That's 2003 PGA champion Shaun Micheel that we have the honor of having as part of the show as frequently as his schedule allows, and to answer your questions. So please continue to send those questions our way. You can do it. You can tweet me at CT Mascaro on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook, Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro. Please, send us your questions. We'll get them on the air. We'll get Shaun to answer them for you. In the meantime, go Shaun. All right, folks, it's time for me to put a bow on this episode. Before we close up shop, I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Allen Edmonds as well. Folks, the shoes of great leaders, from the Oval Office to corner offices to promising cubicles all around the country, are a part of what make people successful. The right footwear is important on the carpets and the hardwood floors of our global economy. Get it right with made in the USA quality and value from Allen Edmonds. Allen Edmonds is an American original. Check him out online, allenedmonds.com. I also want to remind you about the great book that our friend Dave Stockton Jr. and his father, Dave Stockton, have put out. It's called Own Your Game. Remember, folks, so much of the game is played between that 5-inch space between our ears. So get it right. Get your mind right. And in their latest book, the Stocktons let you know how to get your mind in the right place to play winning golf. Own Your Game recreates the experience of riding 18 holes with Dave Stockton at one of his highly sought-after corporate outings, and draws from his experience as a champion player on the regular tour and the senior tour. Plus, he's such a revered coach from everybody. He shows you how to think better, stay calmer, execute more consistently, and most importantly, folks, how to just enjoy the game more thoroughly. Go to StocktonGolf.com to get your copy, and for a couple extra dollars, Mr. Stockton will even autograph it for you. All right, everybody, my sincere thanks to Chad Parker, David Meltzer, and Shaun Micheel for joining me today and for making today's show so much fun for me to be a part of. We thank you as well for tuning in and for making the decision to take a listen to the show. We appreciate you guys the very most. As David Meltzer said, please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me, my co-host Bob Lazzari, our announcer Joe LaJanusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can hear it live on Blog Talk Radio and on Armed Forces Radio as well. Plus, you can stream or download us from any number of great sites. We're available on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, SoundCloud, Audio Boom. Our good friends over at Audio Boom are featuring the show every week for us. So you can find us all across the internet. On Thursday Night Tailgate, our show is about, we have legends from around the NFL and CFL join us every week. 6 current or former players are a part of the show, plus David Meltzer is with us every single week. So please check us out. You can find us online, ThursdayNightTailgate.com. You can find this show nextonthet.net, so you can stream or download any of our archive episodes for either show for free. Plus, you can keep up to date with who some of our future guests are going to be by going to either or both sites. Thank you again for being a part of the show with me today. I really appreciate it. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.